Cooper, who is still coping with the fallout from losing his first crew in the series premiere, is on the other side of the Norris family coin. At the conclusion of episode 4, Ariana gave him a call, and episode 5 begins when he shows up at her place. In addition to helping her by arranging her finances and cutting her grass, he connects with her via their shared grief. Ariana defends herself by kissing Cooper to enrage her cousin, while the latter leads to a violent altercation with Manuel. It's a forceful, spontaneous choice that exemplifies her character's bravery. It was the ideal example of how individuals might discover ways to cope with their suffering despite the patch's never-ending hardships. The growing bond between her and Cooper was another noteworthy aspect of the show. It's difficult to deny the sparks that are fluttering between them, even though the young man is obviously not seeking a love relationship. Despite the losses they have both experienced, these innocent moments brought much-needed humor to the episode's harsher themes and offered hope among despair. It was the ideal example of how people might discover ways to cope with their suffering despite the patch's never-ending challenges. Unfortunately, Manuel, Antonio, Octavio Rodriguez, and several other men ambush Cooper at his trailer and brutally beat him, undoing this. In the morning, Landman's oil workers depart with Boss, and Tommy's son's silent body is seen on the floor in the final scene. His uncertain future adds to his father's already heavy burden of possible disaster, but when combined with the workers' crushing, it nearly gives the show's darkness too much space. It does, however, pave the way for a dramatic conclusion, with everything depending on Cooper's survival. Episode 5 revolves around the main events that Tommy and Cooper go through, both of which provide gripping narratives that further heighten the patch's grim atmosphere. Both the gruff father and the well-meaning son faced difficulties in their own ways, and Thornton and Laughlin's performances were outstanding in this episode. Despite the partners' well-intentioned choices, their disagreements enhanced the program and highlighted the tension among the entire Norris family. Tommy is seen balancing his issues in the patch with his attempts to rebuild his family throughout episode 5. Because of this, he remains the main character in Landman, especially for the cartel. The cartel tries to extract money from Tommy in a heated exchange because of the truck accident in episode 1, which caused their most recent supply of drugs to catch fire. The protagonist, however, warns them of the terrible outcomes that await them if they attempt to tinker with the oil fields with perfect abrasiveness. But it's obvious that the cartel will continue to be an issue, and Tommy promptly gets in touch with Monty, John Hamm, about it. When Boss, Mustafa speaks, refuses to put his workers back on the patch until the illegal activity has been resolved, it becomes clearer how urgent the situation is. But the tension follows Tommy home, where Angela has made a family supper following a humorous episode of aggressive redecoration. A dispute results from his admission of the day's events, but the couple's prompt reconciliation demonstrates that they have grown since their divorce. However, Tommy's story's most memorable moment occurs at the very end when he lets Angela accompany him to visit Monty. They made a halt at a rig en route, where pipes were piled carelessly on the back of a truck. They fall on his body after one of the workers kicks them, crushing him to death. Similar to the devastating conclusion of episode 1, this incident tragically captures the perils of Landman's oil fields. Additionally, given that Angela saw the fallout, it appears that she and her husband may finally grasp how his work impacts his mental health.